to episode number 13 of Live Laugh Loans. I'm Myra and Shelly.
And I'm Shelly Panzarella. And this is our Lucky 13 episode.
Yes, it is. And we're going to jump right into it because we do have action-filled information that we're going to give to you today. So today is January 31st. Tomorrow, the Fed they're actually meeting today and tomorrow, right?
Yep.
But from what I've gathered, they're going to announce another interest rate hike.
We're hoping that actually, right? We're expecting for them to do that. This is the first of their year, the first of the year that they're going to be doing it.
Yes. So there's rumor that it's going to increase by 0.25.
And I think that that's expected. So if he does that, Jerome Powell, if he does do a quarter, I think that will actually be good news on the horizon for all of us. The next level or the next meeting would be March 22nd. And I think the expectation is that he does another 0.25%. And you had mentioned in an article that they actually think it'll be just those two rate increases.
Correct. And they think that they might even announce tomorrow if, in fact, March is going to be the final date for the rate increases. But it's also going to depend on our inflation rate. So The good news is, with the new numbers that came out, we also reported better than anticipated. So I believe they were expecting a 3.2% growth, and we had a growth of 2.9. So,
and that's on the gross domestic, the GDP numbers, right? Gross GD domestic product numbers. All of these crazy acronyms. Yes. Yeah. Which is good. I also read somewhere, and this is totally into the weeds, but nothing like always Shelly style here, that they're going to be looking at the way that they calculate the CPI. So they're not going to average it over a 2-year period. They're going to average it over a 1-year period, looking at just last year, which will actually help to improve the numbers if we just looked at 2022 versus 21 plus 22, because obviously 21 was so high with all of the numbers and such. So
yeah, I think we get a more accurate reporting.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. But what will happen is that 6.5 that we have for CPI will probably come into the 4s, which will look like a huge decrease. But where they're saying from the very beginning they wanted to get to that 2% inflation, I think we'll probably get there, which would also, circling back to this number, which would also bring back more likelihood that he will only do the 2 rate increases this year.
I mean, with the price of eggs, I'm sure a lot of people.
You found eggs? We're struggling.
Yeah, $15. Okay, maybe not that high, but they were pretty high.
Yeah, well, we've gone to a few stores and they didn't even have eggs. A lot of them are limiting the quantity. Fortunately, our processor has chickens at home, and she's so gracious enough to give us eggs every once in a while, which is awesome.
Yeah, I went to Costco and I believe that they were limiting 2 per customer.
You were able to get them though?
Yeah, they were there.
Oh, wow.
So my husband only likes the Vital Farms. I don't know. I don't personally like eggs unless it's like cake or something,
in the
cake. But so we find them at Sprouts, and they're like, every time we've gone, they've been there.
Really?
So luckily, yeah. And they're typically a little more expensive, but with the price of eggs going up, they're about the same now. So.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see eggs go down.
Yeah.
So everybody was saying it was because of the bird flu or whatever that was going on, but maybe it was really attributed to the inflation.
Maybe it was bird flu. I'm not sure. Either way, that's going to stop us from spending.
Right. So tomorrow, February 1st, it could also be if he happens to go in the opposite direction or puts out additional rate hikes, that might actually turn for the worse, not worse, but that could actually go negative for us, because we've seen some really nice interest rates in the last couple of weeks, right, beginning of this month. If he comes out and says half a percent or even further rate hikes maybe into the later of the year, that could probably send some emotional issues or have some emotional issues with the stock market and even with our mortgage bonds, right? So we'll see. That will be interesting to see what happens. What else do we have? Well, something to speak to is our home equity lines of credit. We've had a lot of people inquire about cash out refinances. 2 reasons the Fed fund rates impact us, not just because of our chicken and eggs, but also or inflation, but also with our credit card rates, like this is directly correlated to our short-term or credit card rates. So we're seeing, and our home equity lines of credit, because that is technically a short-term interest rate. We're seeing a few of our clients today reach out to us and wanting to look at cash out refinances versus home equity lines of credit.
Right.
But you have a scenario.
Yeah, me and you both had a client reach out to us wanting to do a cash out refinance because they had some credit card debt in your situation in mind. They just wanted it for another reason. But, they wanted to take out a certain amount of money to pay off these credit card balances, but their current interest rate was 2.75.
Yeah.
So, if we did a cash out refinance and we quote her, I don't even know, high 6, maybe 7% rate, that's going to readjust the entire mortgage plus the money she needs at that new rate.
Yeah.
But if we did, a home equity line of credit, her mortgage is going to stay the same at that 2.75 rate. We're just going to do a line of credit basically that she's going to pay solely on the balance that she pulls. And that is based on her, the margin starting rate plus a few other factors.
Yeah, the credit score and then the combined loan to value. Yeah, so my client actually is, we're going to look to do a home equity loan. So second mortgage, which is a fixed period. The rate's going to be higher than our traditional first lien. I think it's in like the 10%. She has a higher credit score in the 700s. And because of the equity position, she's got a lower combined loan to value. But when I asked her what the interest rates are on her credit cards, she's in the 22% range. So all of the payments that she's been making, she's just struggling to get ahead. In this particular case, she's going to get I think it's under 11. It's a 20-year term. If she applied the minimum payments that she's making on those credit cards towards this home equity line of credit, she'll pay it down in 5 years. She would never pay those credit cards down in 5 years.
Never go away.
Exactly.
High rates.
Exactly. So just know that that's an option for you. As you're hearing these Fed fund increases, it does affect your credit card balances and your interest rates. But we have solutions for you, whether it's cash out refinance, home equity line of credit, or these home equity loans. So you want to jump into the news from Wells Fargo next?
Well, actually, really quick though, because you just reminded me regarding credit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I read an article that Credit Karma was under fire.
Credit Karma.
Yeah. So this is Credit Karma is a tool that a lot of consumers use to monitor their credit. So what was happening is these consumers were going on there, they were scrolling to the bottom of the page, I believe, and at that bottom it was giving them offers like, hey, you have a 90% acceptance rate if you were to apply for this credit card. So a lot of those consumers were applying for those credit cards and not even getting approved. And so the FTC was looking into it and saying, why? So we'll see what happens out of that. But I mean, that's kind of crazy because how many, I would say of all the buyers that come to get pre-qualified, I would say at least 7 out of 10 use Credit Karma as their credit monitoring tool.
Yeah, I would agree. And they're such a reputable company. It looks like they're going to be paying $3 million to the customers who this was affected by. But I would just say with that, especially if you're trying to repair your credit, a credit inquiry is something that can affect your credit just instantly, right? And I know if you own a home, obviously easy for us to do, but just be very, very careful when you're going through this. And obviously Credit Karma is going to take care of the customers that it affected. So yeah, that's good. So that's big news. I actually was part of the Stagecoach back in 2008. So I was part of their mortgage company, which is kind of interesting to see. They're going to step away. So us as a mortgage banker, we used to use them as an investor. So ultimately, if you did a loan with us at Prosperity Lending, Wells Fargo could have been one of the investors that we sent the loan to for servicing. They've gone away from that. They left the correspondent space last year, right? Now they're completely going away from basically having loan officers go out and do anything but banking.
Correct.
And so you have to be inside of the bank in order for them to do a loan.
Right, yeah. So basically they said they were too many hands in the pot and they need to kind of gather themselves together and just focus on the customers that they have. And then who knows if eventually down the line they change a few things and maybe come back out. But for now, that's major, you know. Wells Fargo is a big bank, and for them to step back from home lending from just anybody, except for their customers, that was kind of big news.
Yeah, I thought it was big for us when we were on the correspondent side to invest into them, and then this is definitely big. I mean, just seeing it from when I was a manager for them. I mean, it was our goal to get out not just with our banking clients, but with realtors. You know, we were doing a lot of the seminars. They had a big footprint. It was our goal to have a big footprint here in Nevada. So, it'd be interesting to see what that looks like. Maybe some layoffs and things like that. So. Big news on that. So another article that I read was, which I thought was interesting, with regards to buying homes today, is 92% of millennial home buyers say inflation has impacted their purchase plans, but most are still moving forward. So I thought that was kind of cool to think, you know, one, that millennials are actually considering buying a home. Are you seeing the age group change a little bit for home buyers, first-time home buyers?
Yes, I'm definitely seeing a lot of millennials step into the housing market, and actually a lot of them are I've had a few that are rushed, like, okay, I need to do this now.
Yeah, and I think some of it is a little bit of that FOMO right now, right? Their fear of this, they're hearing maybe rates might actually, well, I'm sure they heard rates went up, they heard we had a little bit of a dip, you know, and so they're trying to take advantage of that. This actually said how inflation has affected millennials' home buying plans. So 59% have decided to save more money. 36% are planning to spend more than expected, obviously because sales prices or home prices are higher today, and probably rates as well. 28% delayed their plans to buy a home, and 26% actually purchased a fixer-upper, which I could see that. I mean, in today's, most of the affordable homes are going to be your older homes.
Yeah, and if you think about it though, millennials are going to be those first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
And that's typical. You move into a starter home. It was only during COVID where you were moving into your dream home because it was within reach. So now we're kind of going back to the basics, and we're moving into something where we can fix up and then live there for a few years, and then eventually sell once, you know, our situation changes, our family changes.
Yeah. So they said 25% are buying a smaller home. So to your point, I think people, it's a great analogy that you made, because we were able to qualify for so much more when you're at a 3% interest rate. So everybody expected that to be the norm. But when I first bought my home, it wasn't my big McMansion that I live in today. But it wasn't the big dream home that that I have today, or even that we moved into today. We started off small in a little townhome, and I actually sold that home. I wish I had held on to it to rent. But then another home that we purchased, smaller single-family home, we have that as one of our rentals today. So we've continuously purchased using the down payment and minimum down payment, and then made those as rentals for us. But I like, you could either do that, and now we have income coming in, cash flow coming in from those rentals, or those homes have equity in them today. So I could have sold those homes and used them to buy, moved up as we moved up. So I thought that was really interesting to see. Our first-time home buyers are ultimately, more of the millennials are coming into the market today.
Which is good.
Yes.
So we saw the number one thing of a lot of people moved out of New York, a lot of people moved out of California.
Yep.
And, we weren't on the top 5 how I thought we would, but surprisingly, according to this report, out of all the states, we were number 11.
Yeah.
Of the state that had the most people coming in.
So I feel like California were like probably the first stopping ground, and only because I married a New Yorker and I married him here in Nevada, I know a lot of New Yorkers come here because of the weather, right? And then we become a destination. So I wonder if California and New York being the highest migration out, right? If we were I wonder what the percentage would be for us. For them moving into Nevada, you know what I mean?
Probably high, but I would say the other West Coast state on here is Arizona.
Oh yes.
Idaho is on here.
They were right above us, right?
Yeah. So Arizona was 7.
Okay, and we were 11.
Idaho was 8, and we were 11.
So it says most areas that have experienced the largest influx of people were Florida, Texas, and the Carolinas. I've never been to the Carolinas. Have you been there? South
I
Carolina?
have not, but the open house that I did this weekend, they were actually moving to the Carolinas.
Really?
Yeah.
South Carolina, North
And
Carolina?
South Carolina. I believe.
Wow. So speaking of open houses, so you mentioned that open house was pretty busy.
Yes, it was busy. The weather was great.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful home, so hopefully they get in some offers.
Yeah. The weather was beautiful on the weekend. Yesterday though, we had. Did you get snow?
No, I didn't. I'm so sad.
Oh, so we're like maybe 10 minutes away from each other, right?
Yeah, it's like maybe 4 or 5 miles, if even that.
If that. So yesterday at Henderson, which by the Black Mountain area, at about 6 or 8 o'clock, I get this notification on my thing that there's a snowstorm. And then my husband comes in to my work office and he's like, hey, it's snowing outside. I'm like, snowing? So I kept on with my meeting and whatever, and then I went out for a break, and it was still snowing. It was probably like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
It snowed all the way up until almost noon, because Sydney got home from school at about noon, and it had just stopped. So all the kids are out there playing. My husband woke up this morning, and he had maybe like a little bit of snow on his truck. So that was exciting for us.
Yeah, especially, I mean, maybe for other states like Colorado, they're like, you guys, this is nothing.
Yeah.
But for us to see something like that, it's so awesome.
I have a client out in Maine, and she was sending me pictures of a snowstorm, and I mean, it's like huge, right? So I sent her my little picture of snowstorm. I'm like, well, here's probably like the beginning of what your snowstorms look like. But that was exciting. I always say, every 7 years we get some form of a snowfall, although it didn't happen across the city. It was just like in that Black Mountain area.
Anthem got a little bit.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah. So my brother sent me a photo from his balcony. There was his neighbor. He had like a little putting green. So it was all rocks, all desert, but just that little putting green area had snow.
Aww.
It was really cute, but I'm like, it's so like we get so excited for
seriously
nothing.
I was actually, so I had to go to Eastern at like 5 or 6 o'clock. I was going to call the appointment and say, I'm going to reschedule. There's going to be black ice. They're like, what are you talking about? Like, no, it's snowing over here.
That would have been me.
So she's like, it's raining. You're totally fine. And it was totally clear on the roads. Yeah. It really was just a pocket area around that mountain.
You drive. I won't drive.
In the snow?
Or rain.
Even if it's a millimeter of snow?
Yeah.
That's funny. So Super Bowl's coming up.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Are you?
I actually saw the game this weekend.
Yeah. The Philly and
the 49ers.
Oh,
it was like
Philly and Niners. Whoops.
That was a very disappointing game.
Wait, you wanted the Niners to win?
I did. So my mom has always been like a 49ers fan. Oh. But aside from just the two teams, that game was actually just very disappointing. But leading to that Super Bowl, I'm going to go for the Eagles.
Eagles, I think so too. I don't know if they were one of the best Super Bowl teams this year, right? Super Bowl teams, NFL teams this year.
I mean,
I guess I'm calling it. Right? Yeah, I am as well. I'm going for the Eagles. One, because our buddy Tyson Roberts is a huge Eagles fan. I like the band, and I like the color.
Yeah.
Why are you going for the Eagles?
I don't know. So when I was little, I had a jacket, like a starter jacket, like they were a thing back in the day. And it was really cute, and I picked it, and I was like, I wore it, and people would ask me, are you an Eagles fan? Because I had an Eagles jacket, so I went with it, and I said yes, but I really wasn't.
Deep down inside.
But I mean, clearly, that day was leading to today.
Do you still have that jacket?
No, I have no idea what happened to it.
That's so funny. All right, so do you have a over-under? What do you think it's going to be? I don't know if a lot of put these scores online.
I don't know. They're two good teams. Hopefully over for a good game, but I'm not sure.
Over 50 points or
over
50 points?
I'm calling it over.
Over? I'm going to say the same. We're going to have, because they both pass, right? They're not like running. It's a lot of throwing. We're totally not. El Pre-Show is definitely not a football.
Tom Brady's not in it,
Are you excited for the halftime show?
It's a halftime show.
Rihanna?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Rihanna. I go for the halftime show. I'll bet on the fun parlays, like first touchdown. What are some of the other fun things that they do on the
coin toss? The color of like the Gatorade.
Oh, yes, at the end. Yeah.
Is the coach going to get the winning coach? Are they going to get like water spilled on them?
Yeah.
stuff like that.
They have all the silly ones too. They even like who's gonna make the if there's a safety. That's not silly, but like cheerleaders. Like some of the hotels have like some really far off ones that you can do here. So I did the standard or the typical like who's going to make the first score? Is it going to be a field goal?
Yeah.
And then points and such. So excited about that. What else do we have? Did we get everything?
Yeah, I think that's it. But next week we have some good information as well.
Yes. Yeah, so stay tuned next week. We're going to talk. There are going to be some changes with regards to interest rates. Not just that the rates that are going to be talked about tomorrow, but there's things as far as these costs. They call them LLPAs, which are lender price adjustments, that ultimately will impact you as a consumer if you're based on your credit score, based on your loan to value, based on your loan type. So this is solely on conventional loans, but based on your occupancy, right? So if you're owner-occupant, secondary residence, or investment, and then also if you're doing a cash on refinance. So make sure you stay tuned for our next episode so you can check out what those are going to be like, and then we'll definitely update you on what it looks like coming up of our February 1st meeting. So with that said, make sure you like and subscribe. If you like this information, share this, and then also pass this along to your friends, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Bye.